Welcome back to Pastor Emilie's Story Hour. My dad wrote this story as well, and I think the title speaks for itself. One Wish by Doug Finn. Dennis Smith, 42 years old, paunchy and balding, was working on his old '69 Pontiac out in the street in front of his house. The fan belt had broken, and he was installing a new one. A simple job, but Dennis's stock of tools was woefully inadequate. His knuckles were nicked and bleeding from trying to tighten the bolt with an old crescent wrench that was so loose it kept adjusting itself wider and slipping off. He was cursing the wrench and sucking the blood from the latest nick when he backed away from the car and saw an old man standing beside him. He stared at the old man for a moment without saying anything. The old man was scraggly looking, with long, dirty gray hair. He was skinny and wore baggy blue serge pants with holes in the knees and a faded red flannel shirt. His eyes were sunk into his head so that it was hard to see the pupils. His nose was a beak, and he had a long, pointed chin. "Chicken soup for lunch," the old man said. Dennis's eyes widened. It was almost 11 o'clock, and he knew his wife had been boiling chicken parts all morning to make soup. The old man must have smelled it and now wanted to be invited in. Dennis wondered if he could find some yard work or something for the old man to do. "Don't do yard work," the old man said. Dennis felt a twinge of uneasiness, but only for a moment. Then he realized what a natural conclusion the old man's words were, especially for one who had probably been through this 1,000 times. "What do you do?" Dennis asked. "Grant wishes," the old man said. Dennis scratched his nose, making a black smudge there. "The guy is cracked," he thought. The old man cackled. "Everybody thinks that," he said. "It don't matter, though. I'll give you one wish, but that's all." Dennis decided that the best way to get rid of the old man was to ignore him. He turned back to his car, tightened the wrench around the bolt, and began trying to turn it. The wrench slipped again, and again Dennis's knuckles banged against the fan pulley. "Granted," the old man said. Dennis turned and looked at him. The old man was looking at Dennis's hand. When Dennis looked down, he saw that his old crescent wrench was gone, and in its place was a brand new 9/16 box end wrench. "I'll be going now," the old man said. He turned and started walking away. "Wait," Dennis said, when he found the ability to speak. I don't get it. How did you—" The old man turned and looked at him. "That's the way it works," he said. "You get the first wish you think of after I say you can have one. Pretty simple if you think about it." Dennis could see the logic. He knew the old man was exactly right. The new wrench was exactly what he had been wishing for at the time. "You only get one, though," the old man said. "Don't try for any more. You'll be wasting your time." "Won't I ever get another?" Dennis asked. He was aware of his voice whining like a child's. "Won't you ever come back?" "Maybe," the old man said. He scratched his head and looked puzzled for a moment. "I might come back." Then he grinned a wide, toothless grin, and his eyes seemed to sink deeper into his head. "Then again, might not come back. Can't tell." He turned and walked on down the street, his figure slowly fading until it disappeared. Dennis wondered about this incident for weeks after it happened. He would have said that it was all in his imagination except for the new wrench. The wrench was irrefutable proof that something had happened. And in fact, his first big step was to finally admit to himself that it had all been real. Once he had gone that far, he had to decide what to do about it. There was, after all, the possibility that the old man would return someday and grant him another wish. He didn't want to be tricked again into wishing for something as trivial as a wrench. He thought over the reasons why he had wished as he had. He realized it was because he had been caught up so completely in what he was doing. At the time, all that had mattered to him was fixing his car. He decided not to let trivial things matter that much anymore. The next thing, then, was to decide what to wish for if he was given another chance. He racked his brain. Money, of course, occurred to him first. $1 million. Why not 2 million? Why not all the money in the world? But why would he want money? Well, it would make him happy. But then why not just wish for happiness? But what was happiness? Well, if he could live comfortably and do what he wanted, he would be happy. He realized this was going around in a circle. Certain things would make him happy, and he would be happy if he had certain things. Dennis didn't like circles. He wanted to get somewhere in his life. But where? What was he living for anyway? Maybe that was what he needed to know. To know! That was it. He wanted to know. Yes, more than anything else in the world, he wanted to know. But not just to know about things. He wanted to know what life was for. Wisdom, he thought. Wisdom is the end of knowledge. He'd heard that somewhere. If he was wise, he could understand it all. That would be more than happiness. His thinking this far had been all his own, and he came to this conclusion without help of any kind. But to make sure he was on the right track, he began to seek advice from others. He read books, he talked to people, he took some courses at the university, and he thought a lot about what he had learned. He was more than happy, and he came to love that strange old man very much, for he realized the true gift the old man had given him. His one wish was that the old man had come to him sooner. The end.